welcome back to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today I'm going to talk about what I read in the second half of the month of September. So, shall we get to it? First, Cymbeline. This is totally a fairy's tale without any magic, complete with the wicked stepmother, the impotent father, the false prince, the true prince, set in Roman Britain. It all starts with a King Cymbeline who's very upset that his daughter Imogen has married a guy that he raised up, was a foster father to. Poor guy's an orphan. And Posthumus, I believe is the guy's name. And anyway, things go on from there. Have made a full review, so I will try to remember to link to that. I also finished Why Didn't They Ask Evans by Agatha Christie. This is a standalone. None of her famous sleuths are in this one. Instead, we have Bobby Jones and his friend Frankie, who he grew up with. Bobby Jones was out golfing. Who was he with? Might have been the village doctor. Anyway, there's a part near the golf course where there's a cliff and they find a body down that cliff. Doctor goes off to get help, and the poor man they find down there is still alive briefly, long enough to say to Bobby at least, why didn't they ask Evans? Well, at first, Bobby passes this off, but strange things start happening, and he and Frankie start investigating, and things go on from there. And yes, we do get the answer to the question, why didn't they ask Evans? I think this was written about 1934, 35, so not a really early Christie, but kind of reminds me of Tommy and Tuppence. Frankie and Bobby, they kind of remind me of them. Very fun. Glad I read it. Next, I read Q for Treason by Geoffrey Trease. I think this is middle grade historical fiction. Geoffrey Trease. And it is the reign of Queen Elizabeth, and we get to meet Shakespeare, but it all really starts with Peter. New local lord, think it's the son of the old lord, or maybe it's a nephew. In any case, not very nice, trying to take common land. So the villagers get together and, well, kind of make the new stone fence disappear. New lord rages, but can't pin it on anyone except for the fact that Peter left his hat and it has his name in it. So he has to flee to London, ends up with a troupe of players, meets Shakespeare. There's another young lad he meets, Kit, who has his own secrets, and they discover a plot against Elizabeth, and things go on from there. Very fun. Perfect for middle grade. I am very picky with my historical fiction, but it seems I'm more likely to like it if it's older and or if it's for young people. Otherwise, I would rather just read a biography or history of the subject, generally speaking. Next, I read Howard's End is on the Landing by Susan Hill, The Year of Reading from Home. And this is exactly what it sounds like. Now, for academic/work purposes, she did allow herself to have full use of the local library, but beyond that, she did not read a single thing that was not in her own home at the beginning of the year, and revisited a ton of old favorites. Never read Susan Hill before, but this was just fun and inspired me, which I don't need any more inspiration, but she did inspire me to check out a few new things. Perfect for readers, especially of classics. Although not just classics, she runs the gamut. She does Ian Fleming and Roald Dahl and I'm forgetting others, but other more contemporaries. Oh, and one last thing about that. In the process, she's trying to make a list of 40 books that she would want on a desert island, basically. I also read Fresh from the Country by Miss Reed. So this is not a typical Miss Reed book in that it's not Fairacre and not, oh, I forget the other village that she Thrush Green, that's right. Not connected to either. This is the story of Anna Lacey. She's just finished teachers college and she got a position in new industrial suburbs, which is very different from where she grew up in the country. Hence, fresh from the country. This is her first year of teaching, the ups and downs, the relationships she forms with students, with fellow teachers. Very, very relaxing. Well, if you're a fan of Miss Reed, that is one not to miss. The Tempest. I'll be giving a full review of this, but this is the third book I read for Shaketember. Well, those actually written by William Shakespeare, and I had a great time with this. I'll do a full review that I try to remember to link to. Short version is this could be a revenge story, but it turns out not to be a revenge story, and is arguably the most magical of Shakespeare's plays, isn't actually using magic outside of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So glad I read that one again. Always good to revisit. There was Macbeth, and there was, not A Winter's Tale, Twelfth Night. I did not get to, but can't speak. But Macbeth, along with As You Like It, I think, or is it All's Well That Ends Well, are going to be at the local Shakespeare Festival next year, along with Antony and Cleopatra, but I just read that last year, so I don't feel the need to read that. So I figure I will read Twelfth Night around, well, Twelfth Night. Macbeth I will read before going to the Shakespeare play next year, hopefully. And I already decided I'm never reading Titus Andronicus, and I am okay with that. But 3 Shakespeares for shaketember, that's not too bad at all. Let's see. I also read Mere Christianity, the Orange Tabs. I had forgotten how much good stuff there is in here. In it, C.S. Lewis talks about basically mere Christianity. And what he means by that is Christianity as what most people who call themselves Christians would agree means being a Christian. And had a great time rereading it. C.S. Lewis is so quotable, and he's so matter of fact and common sense, and he gives great examples. Like, for one, he describes us being in enemy territory, and prayer is like having a secret wireless to allies outside enemy territory or something like that. Perfect example to use during World War II. So If you want to know what Christianity is all about, that really is not a bad place to find out outside of reading the Bible. Let's see, I also read The Mythmakers, Remarkable Fellowship of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien by John Hendrix. So this isn't exactly a graphic novel, but it almost is. And yet it also has tons of pages like the one on this side where I'm tapping my fingers now, with plenty of text as well. So we get a brief introduction to their childhood, World War I, Oxford, and finally meeting. Lots of time, of course, is dwelt on becoming friends and then the Inklings, and a little bit on afterwards. And there's also lots of time talking about what is fantasy, what are myths, what are the history of some things. This would be excellent for a middle grader who wanted to learn about Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. All right, and last one I read, and it's tiny, but rather amazing, is Best Day Ever by Nathan Glad. Sadly, he has what is popularly called brittle bone syndrome. He and his mom have left off counting how many bones he has broken. In a lot of ways he has limited, but he does not allow that to limit his attitude or affect the way he lives his life. And if anyone you would think he would be justified in calling a glass half empty, instead, as he puts it, or is it Richard Paul Evans, who wrote the introduction, puts it, he's just grateful for the glass. And it really does put things into perspective. And he gives some great advice on how to be happy, which I think is something we could all use a few reminders of these days. So that is everything that I read for the second half of the month of September. Pretty good reading month, I must say. So how was your reading month? Have you read any of these? If so, I'd love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy, and as always, happy reading.